Alright everybody, it is Thursday afternoon, and while I did not get any of it on video, this morning I got in there and I got that smallmouth bass out. I finally caught it. I had a little bit of work to do this morning. I was going to be not that far down the road from a friend of mine's place that has a pond. So I said, you know what, today's the day, and I did it. So he's gone, he's in the pond already. I didn't bother with any video or anything like that. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go down and check my minnow trap. I set it again yesterday after I checked it and emptied it. And we're going to go see what else is in it. I'm probably not going to bring home any crayfish that are in there. We don't need any more. I've actually got a bunch in a bucket in the other room. We're going to be shooting a video very shortly. I think I will put that on my crayfish tank playlist. I do have a playlist that is about nothing but my crayfish tank. Before I had this tank with crayfish in the bottom, I had a tank that was dedicated just to crayfish. It was a little 10-gallon tank. So there's lots of videos on that playlist if you want to look at them, and the video I'm going to shoot about how to care for crayfish will be on that playlist as well here in the very near future. Next couple of days I'll be shooting that video. Today, however, we don't need to bring any more crayfish home. We're just going to empty the trap. We're going to see what's in there. If I get any more creek chubs, I'll probably bring them home. I don't see any reason why not. Have a nice big fat school of them in there for the time being. But what I really want is more of these Rosyside Dace. I think they are so pretty. They're a little beat up right now from the bass being in there. I still have to get that Mayan cichlid out of there. And then, of course, we have the small green sunfish. I haven't seen that other one that was getting beat up. So I'm assuming we're down to the one green sunfish. So he'll have to come out of the tank eventually too. But in the meantime, I really want to bolster this school of these Rosyside Dace. And if you watched my video the other day where I was actually having a little bit of a difficult time catching some minnows, I had to try a few different spots. There's that one little hole upstream from where I park. It's on a neighbor's property. He allows me to come onto his property to tinker around in the stream and catch crayfish and minnows and stuff. So I might go toss the trap out there. That is the little hole that we pulled these Rosyside Dace out of. And if we can get the trap in the stream up there, I'm hoping I can bring home, a dozen or something and just get a nice big school of those beautiful, beautiful Rosyside Dace in there. Today, we're not going to do that, though. Today, we're just going to go check the trap. We've got a storm coming tomorrow, so I don't see any reason in putting the trap out in the stream. If we've got a lot of rain coming, it'll probably just get washed down or messed up or something. So we're going to save that for another video for another day. Today, however, like I said, we are just going to go check the trap and see what's in there. So let's get going, and I'll see you down the street. Well, the trap's still there, so let's see if anything's in it. A couple little minnows, a little crayfish. So it looks like we got 3 little creek chubs and a crayfish. And we have no need for this little crayfish, so we'll just go ahead and get rid of him if I can get a hold of him. So cooperate. See, that's how you pick up a crayfish. You grab it right behind the claws on its carapace, and there's nothing it can do to get a hold of you right there. So that's how you can safely pick them up. And if you need to, when they're on the ground, you can pin them down. You just put your finger right on their back like that, and it just pins them down, and then you can pick them up. And they're very easy to handle once you do that. And then, of course, ultimately, even if they pinch you, even a big one can't even break your skin. It's just something I don't like happening, so I always pick them up this way. So we need to get this untied, and then we're going to head on back up to the house. Because as I said, we got some storms coming tomorrow. We'll just go ahead and put this away. It's out of bait anyway, so we need to refill it. The next place we're going to go is about 100 yards upstream. The vegetation's too dense to get down from the road to the stream, so we'll just be hopping in right here and walking on up. And that will be for another video. So right now, we're gonna head on back to the house. I'll see you there. All right. After a full 15 minutes in the salt bath, again, we were using sodium chloride, not my marine salts, so it was simply what you would call aquarium salt that they were in, not ocean salt. And after a full 15 minutes, I saw no signs of distress. The fish weren't struggling to get out of it like those other fish were. So I believe the other ones were a Notropus species. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I do not believe they're euryhaline. These are Creek Chubs, and I think Creek Chubs are euryhaline. So that little bit of salt dip wouldn't have bothered them at all, but it would clear away any kind of external parasites, gill flukes, that sort of thing. Certainly no guarantee that I'm still not contaminating the tank. A little 15-minute salt dip is not an adequate substitute for a proper quarantine. But again, we can talk about that in a later video. I still want to talk about that at some point. So I think one of these Creek Chubs may be another one of these Rosyside Dace. So let's pour them in and see what happens. Of course, this time they're not going to become food the instant they go in. And it's interesting how their colors are always different until they've been in the tank for a day or two. So I think this one is a Rosyside Dace, and then the other two were very clearly Creek Chubs. So see how much darker they are now that they've been in the tank for a day or two? I don't know if that's the stress of being transported. For all I know, the lighter color is their natural color, and the dark color in the tank is their stressed color. It's hard to say. So that's about it for this video. Not a lot more to add since we're not doing this for the sake of feeding like I had in my previous videos. This was simply to add some more fish in there. Honestly, it was just to go get my crayfish trap or my minnow trap. I knew it needed to get collected up. I knew there would be fish in it, so I don't like to keep the fish in there any longer than I really need to. It's, you know, it's kind of really cramped quarters once you start getting a lot of fish inside that little trap, so I don't like to leave them in there too long. So just basically we need to go get the trap, and since there was only a few fish in there, no harm in bringing them home, or I hope there's no harm in bringing them home. This seems to be one of our new additions. Maybe isn't seeming to get along with everybody. Maybe it's still just in a little bit of shock, not really sure. Did just go from very cool stream water to pow 80-degree tank water, so might be stunned a little bit, but who knows. I've never seen one get shocked from a temperature change in the water before. These cold water fish can go through huge swings in water temperature without really batting an eyelash. When I used to have a tank set up that was a native tank years ago, when I first started keeping fish, I just had a 40-gallon tank and I just threw a bunch of fish in it. It was a mess. You know, in reality, it was way overstocked. I had 3 or 4 sunfish in it, a largemouth bass. If you scroll back far enough on my native tank playlist, you'll find the early videos of my 40 breeder that used to be a native tank. And when I would do water changes on that tank, I would simply run cold water. I didn't see any reason to waste energy on running hot water back into the tank, so I would just run the cold, and I would do 80% water changes. You know, I would drain it down until the fish were basically splashing around, and then I'd fill it back up with cold water. And it would be, the tank would be so cold that I would literally get sweat on the glass. You know, condensate would form on the glass because of the temperature variant. And I would do that in a single water change, and none of those fish ever batted an eyelash, or I never noticed any other fish batting an eyelash. Again, there were so many other problems with those tanks. Any problems that might have rose, I wouldn't have really been able to pinpoint it on any one thing. But I never did see any issues with that sudden temperature change. So these types of fish, these cold water fish, you know, North American natives like this, while some do need colder water, or at least cooler water, there are some that simply can't live in 80-degree temperatures. There's plenty that can live in 80-degree temperatures because they, you know, are in those temperatures by the end of the summer. And of those fish, being slammed around from one temperature to another never really seems to bother them. That's not that unusual for that to happen to them in their native environment. They swim from a pond up into a little feeder stream. They might go through a 20-degree temperature shift in a matter of 1 minute or less, you know. So I don't think it really bothers them too much. At any rate, that's what the tank looks like now. We still got lots of stuff to do. We got to get that Mayan cichlid out of there for one thing, and then from there again, we've got lots to do. So make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss any of the stuff I got coming up. You never know what it's going to be. And with this tank, it's always going to be something, at least for a while. This tank is still in flux. So if you're subscribed, you won't miss any of that. So thanks again for watching. See you real soon in the next one.